Now I spent a little bit of time exploring the code that we've done here, just so that we get a little feel for some pros and cons, even just at the start. So at this, you can see here, I have chosen to use the WebDriver interface rather than the HTML unit driver. I could have just as easily done this. HTML unit driver is an HTML unit driver, driver.get the page, then assert true the title. This is equivalent. Now, the reason that I put the WebDriver in here rather than the HTML unit driver is that we may want to, in our tests, inject the driver. So have the driver itself instantiated somewhere else, because we may want our test to run across Firefox, Chrome, Opera, HTML unit. We may want them to work against a remote WebDriver. And if I make all my tests use an HTML unit, expect an HTML unit driver, then I won't be able to do that. I won't be able to inject it. But if I get used to working with the driver interface itself, then I will be able to later on refactor the test much more easily to use the generic interface. Now remember that WebDriver itself is becoming a standard, so the interface, this WebDriver object, is becoming standardized. The actual driver itself may have additional commands on it, but that's for each driver to decide. So what I'm going to do is have a quick exploration of some of these classes. Because we're early days yet, you've seen essentially two commands. The get command, which is one of the basic navigation commands, and the get title command. Now if I do a code completion on driver here, so that was a control space in IntelliJ, you can see we have these basic commands at the top driver level. I can get a page, I can get the title, I can find an element, I can navigate through to different pages, I can quit the browser. Now I didn't have to quit the HTML unit driver here. When the driver object itself closes down, it closes down for me because it's a headless driver. Other drivers I will have to quit or close with the test. You can see I can get the current URL, I can get the page source, get the window handle. So there's a variety of commands that I can do here. Now if I, in IntelliJ, control and left mouse click through, you can see that I can start to look at the source code for WebDriver. Now that is going to be, it's always going to be, the most up-to-date documentation that you can find for WebDriver. So get in the habit of looking at the source code that implements WebDriver. Now HTML unit driver itself, if I do a control P on that, you can see that I can specify a browser version, whether JavaScript is enabled or not, and various capabilities. I'm not going to explore this at the moment. We'll cover drivers in more detail later on in this course. But you can see that there is more than just instantiating an HTML unit driver. I think by default JavaScript is not enabled with HTML unit driver. HTML unit driver has its own custom JavaScript interpreter, so it may handle JavaScript differently than other browsers. So we have to get in the habit of using the right browser for the right type of testing. HTML unit driver is great for checking the basics of pages. If I want to just go to a page, check the title, HTML unit driver is going to be fine. If I want to go to a page, pull off the source code, do something on that, HTML unit driver is going to be fine. And it's going to be fast to start up and instantiate. If I want to check various AJAX calls, HTML unit driver may have some difficulties because the JavaScript processing is going to be different. So it's fast, it's good for very simple testing. And get in the habit of looking at the source code.